Welcome to ScreenPlay, where we review elements of pop culture from music and television to video games and film. I'm your host, Haley Cummings, substituting for Noah Bailey. Today we'll be reviewing a throwback to the 1980s with the film Johnny Dangerously, and then we'll be reviewing Echosmith, a band most popular right now for their song, Cool Kids. Joseph, you reviewed the film Johnny Dangerously. Why did you choose to review this film?
Well, I was originally considering just doing an older film. I wanted to choose one that didn't have that much, view in the public eye in general. And I remembered that Johnny Dangerously is an old favorite of my parents, so it just seemed like a nice movie to watch. And I was pleasantly surprised by how fantastic it actually was.
Okay, so I personally have never seen this one, so how would you describe it to someone who is going into it for the first time?
It is a comedy movie that's a parody off of gangster films, like The Godfather and so forth. It's kind of a similar vein to, say, Spaceballs and that sort of thing in Mel Brooks movies. But it sort of leans closer to the cheesy side of comedy.
Okay, so how cheesy would you say? Like, will it translate to audiences today as well as it might have back then when it first came out?
Well, considering the fact that it was a commercial flop when it first came out in theaters, But that said, it's comedy. We're talking about stuff like one of the main antagonists is constantly cussing, but he doesn't actually use any foul language. He says things like "farg" "ice hole" and stuff like that on a regular basis. That's the level of cheesy comedy we're dealing with here. But what's so great about the movie is the fact that it has so much of this stuff, visual and audio gags like that. And the fact that it plays with it in really amusing ways. The character Johnny Dangerously himself is unexpectedly a crazy good role model. Another one of my favorite lines in the movie, Johnny Dangerously is like surrounded by women, and another gangster goes up to him and asks, Johnny, how do you do it? And his response is mutual respect. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about here.
Okay, so that works. So based on this graphic, I guess, that we have right here, how would you, who is Johnny Dangerously?
The guy in the middle.
The guy in the middle, of course.
With the rather cheesy smile.
Yeah. And so who's the guy with the fedora? Is he like a antagonist?
The main antagonist of the film.
All right, so he's the one you were talking about who does like the
Actually,
swearing
no, different
a lot?
one.
No, there's two antagonists.
Yes.
Okay. Is that confusing at all to the plot?
No.
No? Okay, it works. Okay. And so you said that there is a thing with like mutual respect. Do you see that as, a theme of progressiveness in the...
Actually, progressiveness is a really huge theme with the character Johnny himself. One of the main elements of comedy is he's almost constantly breaking the fourth wall as being just ahead of everyone else. A younger version of him break dances, even though it's the 1930s. In another one of the scenes, he breaks the fourth wall to speak directly to the audience, telling them, "Kids, don't smoke, chew bubble gum." It's ridiculous stuff like that.
Okay, well, so you said that you did enjoy this movie, right?
Very much so.
And your parents enjoyed it too. So would you say that this is like a family-friendly thing that people might enjoy?
For the most part, yes, but there are some particular scenes that break that wall. So I'd consider it more PG-13-ish.
Or PG-13. Is it rated PG-13 or is
I don't
that
actually recall what it's rated.
Okay, so that might be something that we have to look up at some point. Like if you want to show it to the little kids, I guess that's something to keep in mind. But overall, a nice comedy, like a parody.
It's a fantastic film, and I would recommend it for a general audience. As for modern viewers, there are some things I think will not necessarily translate as well. It makes a lot of cultural references, so there are scenes that will not be, as gotten as well. But otherwise, fantastic film. I recommend it.
Okay, so Johnny Dangerously, it's a 1984 film, 1984. So it's a nice parody that you might enjoy. We aren't exactly sure what it's rated, but if you want to show it to the kids, you can go ahead and check that out. So now we're going to switch over to Sam. You reviewed Echosmith, and you just reviewed the artist in general. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're popular right now for the song Cool Kids. Is that their first song, or have they been around longer than that?
They actually formed in 2009. They're from LA, it's like a lot of bands are, but they didn't get signed till 2012. So they worked hard on this album, and they were like virtually unknown for a few years, and then recently like this song blew up everywhere. Like on Vine it got really popular because people would like make covers and post it, and then everyone wanted to know what the original song was. So that's how they became popular. Mainly social media has helped them a lot.
Okay, cool. And would you say that Cool Kids is a good representation of their sound in general?
Yeah. I really, really like that song. I don't want to sound like one of those annoying people who's like, I heard of this band forever ago, but like I knew of them like way before this. And usually like when bands get popular, I'm like, oh no, because sometimes they overplay them and it like kills them a little bit, like their individuality. But I'm actually glad they got discovered because they have a really cool sound, because like indie pop is kind of a broad genre, but they do a really good job. They have like their own niche in it. So yeah, it's a good representation of them, I think.
Okay, that's cool. So do you think that, like, from the popularity of Cool Kids, you see them continuing on in the future with this popularity?
I think so, yeah. They actually, because they become so popular, they redesigned their album cover, and they did a couple other things, which some people are mad about because they're like, oh, well, they sell out because they're more popular now and they're changing some things. And I'm like, well, give them some credit. They're probably enjoying like their hard work they've done since 2009, and like nobody knew who they were. And they're 4 siblings as well, which I think is really cool. So it's like a family thing.
So, okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And they're from LA, you said?
Yeah, they're from LA.
All right. So I think I heard from someone leading into this shoot that they're significantly kind of young in age, I think.
I don't know their ages exactly, but they look really young. Because
Yeah.
I've seen like the girl a lot, 'cause she's been everywhere lately, because I guess like everyone loves her now. But yeah, she looks pretty young. They're definitely all in like their early to mid 20s, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they have any music videos or anything like that?
They had one for Cool Kids. I've only seen the original one, but I guess when they redesigned their album cover, they also did a new video for Cool Kids since it's so popular. So people should check that out because I've heard it's different, but it's really good. So the whole album is good. It's their debut album. It's called Talking Dreams. So.
Okay. And is there any groups that are similar to Echo Smith that you think people might, it could be like a segue to lead into the group or anything like that? I asked a hard one.
Off the top of my head, it's hard because they are kind of a broad genre, but if you like anything like with a pop sound, or like, you know, I said they're indie pop, or like more of a mellow sound that can still be kind of a beat, then you'd probably enjoy them. Like, I feel like I'm not a really big pop lover, but I still like them, so they kind of fit everybody, I feel like.
Okay, that's cool. So if Echo Smith, indie pop, they're very popular right now for Cool Kids, so if you haven't heard that one, go ahead and check it out. That's about the time that we have for our reviews, so thank you to Joseph and Sam for your work this week. If you want to read the full reviews of Johnny Dangerously and Echo Smith, you can find them at auspartannews.com. Now I think it's time to move on to our last thoughts section, where we talk about current events in pop culture. So today I think it might be a good idea to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. Have either of you seen this at all?
I saw it.
Saw it during the summer.
Yeah. Thoughts on it?
I liked it.
Fantastic film, brilliant in its comedy and in its, so I'd say, clashing scenes.
And Sam, how did you feel about it?
I liked it. I didn't know what to expect going into it because I usually like action or superhero movies, but I had never heard of like this comic or whatever, so I was like, I don't know. But I actually really liked it, and I thought it was funny too, and it wasn't like cheesy like a lot of action movies can be, so.
Yeah, like I went into it not really knowing what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people had been telling me it was going to be kind of like the Avengers, and it wasn't.
It wasn't at all, I don't
No,
think.
they're two completely different things.
It
Really.
had a lot of things in common with the Avengers, actually.
Yeah.
The way the story is designed, it emphasizes each character on their own individual level, which is what the Avengers was all about as a film.
Yeah.
So in that way, they're very similar.
Okay.
Though I would agree that in subject matter, they're
Yeah.
greatly different.
Yeah. Like, I thought the female characters had a lot of potential to be really interesting, but I wish they would have gone a little bit more into their backstory, because I felt like they just kind of set it up but didn't really explain fully.
I think that their backstory was strong enough. I feel like they should have ventured more into the personality of the characters on an individual basis themselves instead.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm trying to say, really. Like, Nebula had, like, a really nice backstory and everything, but I didn't feel like I was connected to her in the movie. Like, I didn't feel like that might be, like, on purpose, because she's not a protagonist by any means, but I would have been more excited to see more from her. I don't know. It was just kind of like, oh, I'm super cool, and I'm blue, and we're going to have an awesome battle scene and whatnot, but that was about all we really got. So if there is, like, sequels to it, I'm pretty sure they're going to be making sequels
Yeah.
I'd be interested
I
to
hope
see
they
more
do.
from her.
I think it said they were going to return at like the end of the movie or credits or something. It said they'd be back.
Yeah,
So
that'd be
there it
nice.
is.
Hopefully not too long of a wait. But basically, Guardians of the Galaxy was coming to mind because I guess they're going to be releasing their Awesome Mix soundtrack on cassette tape. So
That's
Directly
cool.
from the movie.
yeah.
So I think that's pretty funny, but really interesting that they would choose to do that.
On
Is-
cassette.
Are there seriously many people still with cassette tapes
Yeah,
that work?
that's what I was thinking.
I don't
like-
have one.
Because I guess it works because in the movie, I forget his actual name. What
Star-Lord?
Star-Lord. We'll stick with that. We'll stick with that. He has that cassette tape that he carries around with him all over, and the cassette tape that they're releasing, it looks almost identical from what I'm seeing to what's actually in the movie. So maybe it's not. It is a soundtrack, but also like collector's
good
item,
point.
maybe.
I'm betting more on the collector's item aspect. Goodness knows superhero fans absolutely love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I did like the soundtrack, so I think that's cool.
Yeah,
So it was
like
all
it's-
like older music. It
It was a
fun.
fantastic
yeah,
soundtrack.
and it tied in really well. So
It added to the atmosphere of the film in a very unique
yeah,
way.
Yeah, and I think this is the first like cassette release that Disney has done since 2003. So it's
and probably not since
interesting.
cassettes were a thing.
Yeah, like
They're
I
not
was a little
anymore.
shocked that 2003 because that still seems kind of recent for a cassette release.
Absurdly so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure CDs were a thing by then.
Yeah, I don't know. It shocked me a little bit that I was like, oh, okay. And I know they did a vinyl release for the soundtrack too, which
That's cool.
I know a lot of people who still collect vinyls.
So do I.
Yeah, so that's always a good thing. So, is there any other like Marvel items that you guys watch or anything like that, or was Guardians of the Galaxy? Because I know you said you didn't read the comics.
No,
Sam.
I didn't know anything about this one. Like I've seen like pretty much every sort of action movie. I'm not a good person to talk to about like comics and stuff because I'm not gonna lie, I forget sometimes which one's like DC and which one's Marvel because they're like the two competitors. But like I've seen like the Avengers. That's Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've seen the Avengers and like Captain America and all of those. He's so disappointed. I mean, I like the movies, but like I'm not gonna lie, like,
Words
I don't
cannot
read the
express my
comics.
disappointment.
I don't read the comics, but I do enjoy the movies.
So, is it safe to say that you're a fan of Marvel then, or?
I'm a fan of Marvel and DC to a certain extent, mostly Marvel though. I admire how they managed to transition, their stories from comic to film in such a way, and the fact that even when they have differences in the movies from the source story, what differences they have really add to the story as a whole. So it's just fantastic stuff, as opposed to say what DC does with theirs. But there's a certain point where it's all opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. But unfortunately, we're out of time for this segment today. So that's it for our last thoughts. If you have anything that you want us to talk about or even a review that you want us to do, go ahead and mention AU Spartan Media on Twitter or use the hashtag AU ScreenPlay. I'm your host, Haley Cummings, and we'll be back again next week with more pop culture reviews.